In today's session, we'll be talking about since few of us are freshers, few of us are like in QA automation, few of us are in cybersecurity domain as well. So it's a varied mix. Hence, in order to make a career in Java, uh, I would like to first go for the important skills which we need in Java. We'll be talking about various domains where we can leverage Java as a technology in building our career. I'll be touching base on scope of Java in cloud, AI, ML, IoT, because these are, you can say the in things right now where a lot of traction is there. And when the audience is pretty niche, you can say pretty young to delve into this Java holistically, then definitely we should touch base on cloud, AI, ML, and IoT in detail. I'll be talking about experience-wise career opportunity. Somebody having an experience of 0 to 4, 10, 15, then what would be expectation by the organizations from Java perspective. I'll also be talking about role-based skills in demand. When I talk about role-based skill in demand, for example, if somebody is a solution architect, if somebody wants to be an enterprise architect, somebody wants to be an automation engineer or DevOps role. So all these things, how Java comes into picture, definitely we'll be talking about it, and definitely Q&A. And I think the most important part of this session would be Q&A, because here I am to understand your needs, right? And I'll be sharing my experience with you all because I'm also an example of, you can say, career in Java, and I'll be sharing my experience everywhere. So let me briefly let all of you know what exactly I do. 18 years of my experience. So roughly 19 years now, and I'm right now in EXL in the nutshell in the technology space. Looking after few products, we are envisioning or developing, enhancing that product based on whatever is a new market. You can say technologies are coming. We try to understand the latest trends and try to improve that product. We have our competitors as well. Whatever new features are being put into those, we study them. We try to make our product more performant. There is a technology vision of our CTO, and we try to align that technology vision with our product. We have a development team as well, and my job is to ensure that the team is very well equipped with the technical know-hows of the landscape of the land, ensuring we are developing the optimized code. This is my current profile, and I started my journey of job profile in 2004, and I spent 11 years with Dell. And like everyone, most of us, why I would like to tell you, like most of us are freshers out here, or they are just entering into the market, right? So in 2004, when I joined Dell as a fresher, then definitely during those days, we did not have a lot of say in making our career around that time. What used to happen, and most of it must be like happening, we did not decide where we want to go. It was primarily if you go to big organizations such as Infosys, TCS, such organizations, they conduct a test or a paper is being conducted. Then few of are taken into Java, then few are taken into .NET, few into mainframes, and so on and so forth. Now we have a lot of, you can say in making our career. We have a lot of online, you can say education programs such as EduBridges there, where you can say a lot of enrichments are being provided to all of us. That okay, I want to make a career in Java. Earlier it wasn't the flavor, right? So I happened to be in Java, then probably started as a junior developer, like a fresher everywhere. And once you land up into a job of a, you can say a developer, so uh, all the complexities start from there, because uh, eventually you'll be given few tasks where you might think, no, I should not be taking these tasks. I'm just meant for something, uh, maybe some rocket science and all. But that is not the case at all. After spending 18 years in the industry, I can very strongly say that, yeah, learning curve like an expertise of a 2 years experience in Java differs from 4 years, from 8 years. You learn things, how to code better, the optimization techniques and all. And similarly, the job profile also gets enhanced accordingly. So I just had like a junior developer, then a senior developer, then I became a technical lead, eventually an technical architect, and now playing the role of an enterprise architect in EXL. So this is in the nutshell about me, and I have just purposefully put up this slide bias, considering myself spending 18 years primarily into Java and Java related ecosystem. A lot of my statements could be biased towards Java, definitely, but I'll try to be as neutral as possible. We have n number of languages in market these days, and they all have their own flavors. They all have their success criteria, and if a language comes into the market, there is a reason for it, right? If Java is, you can say, a bit low in a few areas, that is the reason why another language has come into picture, and that is taking a lot of traction. And that is the reason why Java came into picture, because whenever Java came some 25 years back, they were another language which were not able to do X, Y, and Z, which Java was able to perform, and that's why Java came into existence, right? So before we get into more serious discussion, so this is a latest snapshot which I just took yesterday only, where Java stand, because the very first question which comes to us, why Java, right? There are so many languages available across domains, across market. You Google it, you have languages. You have Python is there, we have Kotlin is there, we have Java there, you have C++. So n number of languages are there. So everyone would definitely ask a question to yourself, why Java, right? So this snapshot gives Java is relevant after almost 25 to 30 years of its first snapshot. That means this is a ship which is not sinking at all. A lot of languages came into existence, and they are not able to compete with the latest market trends and all. So Java is here to stay. Uh, every 6 months, Java releases its new version now. For the past 3 years, they have changed that strategy. So right now it is Java 19, which came into market, I think somewhere in September, and every 6 months. So they are upgrading the language quite a lot, right? There is a huge, you can say, user base. There's a lot of developers available. You find a lot of solution over internet. A lot of communities are available in Java, and this is one of the most striking feature, because if you are working on a technology, you need support. It could be with any language, since it has an established support already in place. It has forums available, it has community system available. So it is an easy, you can say, a language to get into. And definitely Java is keeping up pace with the market as well. It is evolving from time to time as well. So in the nutshell, yes, one should look for a career in Java. However, I'll briefly touch base towards a later end about Java and Python. A lot of, you can say, people talk about it could be Java versus Kotlin as well, because they both are JVM based languages and all. So definitely questions are myriads. There are plethora of, you can say, available literature on the internet which you can go and read. End of the day, it is you who would feel connected with the language. It could be any language. So don't get swayed away by anyone saying that this is easy, this is tough, right? So everyone in cricket, everyone has their own batting style, everyone has their own bowling style. You can't copy Virat Kohli one day and think, okay, tomorrow I'll gonna play like him. No, everyone has their own way of coding, everyone has their own choices of even the editor, the way we use an editor. It could be a dark theme you want to use, you want to use a light theme, you want to write a code quite differently. So there is no perfect word in this programming word, right? So when we talk about Java, so first thing is, let's not make it a mathematical, you can say, a paradigm that okay, 2 plus 2 would always be 4, and there is a very set pattern of doing it. And most of us at times think that if I have learned the syntaxes of a language, I know that language, then definitely it's not knowing that language at all. It is just converting my business requirement to a code. That is not knowing a particular language, right? So programming is thinking and not typing. So anyone can code. Anyone can code if you have that, you can say, aptitude and attitude of rational thinking about few principles of programming. If you have already studied, then definitely you can code, because coding these days is the easiest part of the business. There are a lot of platforms. If you have that instinct in you, you can go ahead. Uh, you can say online platforms are there. We can start learning coding. It is only the tenets and the principles of a good programming that you should be knowing and that you should be working on, right? So skills in Java, if I talk about, and if I'm talking about career in Java, then what all skills are mandatory and are good to have? This is a very important thing, because it's a sea, it's an ocean rather, and where you would like to start preparing your career in Java. So this slide basically tells you about, okay, in core Java, what all I should be knowing. Okay, it's very easy to say I have written a program of Hello World, right? Do I know Java? Or for that matter, any language. If you have written a program of Hello World in Python or Kotlin or Golang or JavaScript, do you know that language well? That is a primary question. No, no, not at all. It is just the A of the entire vocabulary of that, and there are A to Z and a number of words are there. So concept of OOPS, design patterns, data structures, multi-threading, these are must to have, you can say, a skill set if you want to make a career in Java. At times we are not very thorough. For example, for a fresher, I'm not looking for anything in multi-threading, very frankly, if I take somebody out there. So I'll not be too hell-bent on somebody knowing the intricacies of what multi-threading does. I would be very simplistic in my approach there, in knowing few data structures should be of my topmost priority, followed by the design patterns and all. However, as a holistic, my you can say armory of the tools which one should be knowing, then definitely it encompasses all these things of multi-threading, design pattern, and OOPs as well. We talk about ORM. ORM is nothing, object relational mapping. That is, whenever Java interacts with a database, we should be knowing few, since we'll be interacting with the database quite often. And at times people are not good in writing SQL queries, then this ORM tool comes to the rescue that, okay, you do not have to write your own queries, and you can just write your queries in Java word that can map it to the SQL. So knowledge of ORM is also very critical. One of the skills if you're looking forward for a career in Java, because you'll not be writing your Java classes in isolation. You will be integrating your Java code with something related in the backend. It could be any web service. It could be some database. It could be some NoSQL. It could be any message queues, whatever it is, right? We talk about build tools, Maven and Gradle. In today's world, we can't work in isolation that, okay, I have written in my notepad, I have written a Java class. What would I do with that class, right? I should be knowing how to build my code. Maven, Gradle, Ivy, and these are a few build tools which one must be, knowledge of one tool is definitely required, and Maven is a, you can say, a very prevalent tool which people use. Similarly, in web technologies phase, we have, you should be knowing at least some part of web technology as well. Although we are talking of Java, but in these days, none of us work solely in writing REST APIs and all. We try to overlap, and we try to call ourselves full stack developers. And when we talk about that, web technologies, you should be knowing. Knowledge of web technologies definitely enhances your chance in getting a job profile, uh, which is you can say uh, overlapping across UI as well, Java as well, and database as well, right? So knowledge of web technologies, I do consider it to be a must to have for a Java developers, because I have seen developers coming into organizations, they understand the Java word quite well, right? However, they are so much into writing that Java code that at times when the ask is to write or integrate with, you can say, React based application or a single page based application where a slight overlapping is required, then they become dependent upon a different person altogether, that okay, that person would be helping me integrating the Angular code with my Java code, right? So if you want to get that edge uh, in your career growth path as a programmer, I'm not calling it as just Java, I'm calling it as a programmer, then try to have try to be an all-rounder across database, your Java word, and your UI a bit. And UI has a lot of flavors. Like in Angular, you could be a full stack developer as well, because the tenets, the principle, the design framework of writing code in React or Angular is same what you write in Java, because we have the similar design principles out there. It's only the language which changes of syntactically writing a code, right? So do not hesitate and try to stamp yourself that no, I'm just a Java developer. No, not at all. Although I have spent most of my time in Java, but spending almost 19 years, I can say no, you should be knowing other technologies well, so that you are able to identify the most optimum solution as well, right? If you talk about Java frameworks, definitely I'm a big fan of Spring framework. If you are starting new as a fresher as well, there are n number of courses available online. If you know at least how Spring works and the intricacies of you can say the design patterns which are used in Spring, I think you have a better chance of landing a better job, because these frameworks are created in order to make one's life easier, so that we are not again reinventing the wheel, ju- and these solutions are pretty optimized. So try learning few of the Java frameworks. It could be uh, Spring, it could be Struts, JSF, Spring MVC, whatever you can think of. Try learning few Java frameworks as well. Application containers are definitely where you host most of your web application if you're working on. Like Tomcat is a open source available. You can use any of the Tomcat, WebSphere, JBoss, Jetty, whichever. So knowledge of at least one application container is a must to know. Testing tools is another, you can say, area where if you really want to make a good career in Java, because suppose you know Java very well, right? Okay, you land up with a job as a fresher, as a coder. If you write your code, now you are a part of an enterprise. An enterprise has its own way of working and methodologies, right? And testing of code is at the top of the priority list of any organization. So if person X writes some code and you're not able to write any of the test cases around it, then believe me, no one would be taking that code back to your any repository, right? So unless and until you know good testing tool, knowledge of good testing tool, mocking tools like JUnit is there. We have a lot of mocking frameworks like Mockito, JMockit, right? PowerMock, a lot of such frameworks are there. So this is another very important tool in your armory. And most of the time I have seen questions being asked on JUnits because there is a design principle of development when we do, which is called test driven development. And what is this test driven development? If somebody asks you in an interview and you say I don't know about test driven development, although I know Java very well, then definitely you do not stand a lot of chance in getting a job. A reason being, you are working in silos. You do not know how an enterprise work, and you do not know how to test your code thoroughly, how to write an optimized code which is very well tested, right? Talking about the EE components, EE like an enterprise edition, we call up Java. It is the web part of Java, like servlets, Java Beans, EJBs were there years back. We have JSPs and all. So nowadays, a lot of landscape is changing, and it is more of microservice architecture that is being used, and less of servlets are being used. So still, yeah, the enterprise edition, knowing outside of Java world, what all things are there, like the server-based programming, how it happens. So this is all part of Java EE. This is another very important area where one should focus when we're talking about building a career in Java. Code version control is all about, okay, you have developed your code, you'll not be working in silos, right? You will be checking that code in into some repository, then some CI/CD pipeline would be triggering and all. So don't think that, okay, I know how to write hello world or few system.out.println, I know how to write and I'm good. No, you should be knowing the word around it, and code version control is definitely around it. If you do not know how to check out a code from a Git repository, then how will you start working on it? Right. So these are the paraphernalias which help you to understand the entire ecosystem of Java world. And for that matter, if I talk about .NET, would be having a similar ecosystem as compared to Java, and same with Python, or same with Node.js, or it could be React, it could be Angular. You have a similar set of frameworks available depending upon the technology or the stack which you are using. And you should be very pro with using any one of the IDE. It could be Eclipse, IntelliJ, NetBeans. These are for Java based. It could be like uh, any other which suits you, any IDE, because it makes that development faster, right? Of integrating solutions and everything with third party APIs, whatever you want to do, this IDE really helps you coding better. And if you are into a job, then you are given a very limited time window of working on a particular problem statement. And if so, knowledge of this ID is also a must to have in order to land up with a you can say a job. And there's a difference between job and career. So you want to smoothen your career as much as you want, and these are the areas where you should focus on day in and day out basis. Try to hone skills in these areas in order to make your daily life easier. Okay, so we'll talk briefly about Java footprints or the domains where we can leverage. So in the nutshell, Java is everywhere, right from your embedded systems, right from your mobile device to space, NASA, software, Java is everywhere. So if I talk about mobile applications, yes, Android based development, lot of things are happening. A lot of languages are taking traction around it. If you have that penchant, or you can say inclination towards developing mobile apps, if you have a Java background, you can make a career in a mobile application development as well. Because, for example, Kotlin is very much used in Android, and Kotlin is a JVM based language. Similar is the case with Java. You can use Java very well in mobile applications. So Java is a language which doesn't restrict you from uh, dabbling in any particular area. It doesn't say like, okay, you can't work with Java in a particular field. So if you have that knack, or you can say if you want to move into mobile applications and have knowledge in Java space, why not? You can definitely go into it. Gaming and animation, for a lot of games like Minecraft is one of the leading games which is developed in Java. And then you can think about that such you can say interactive games can be developed in language then Java, then definitely Java is performant as well. UI is also pretty good. So gaming and animation, we have a lot of APIs available. We called LWJGL, lightweight Java gaming library. We have OpenGDX, a lot of for animations, 2D animations and 3D animations, which we can create using gaming and animations. If you have interest in gaming and animation, want to make a career in these space, then definitely a lot of APIs are there. If I talk about digital and electronic devices, yep, any device which you see around you, like it could be washing machine, it could be refrigerator, it could be a mobile device, it could be a lamp and everything. These days we have the concept of IoT is coming, like Internet of Things. I briefly touch on IoT, you can say later, that what exactly a Java programmer can do out here. what exactly it is, right? So in every digital electronic devices, we have this, the concept of, you can say, Java micro edition also came into existence. That is very different from the standard edition of Java, which works on a similar principles of object oriented Java. And definitely we can learn the micro edition of Java, try writing code for the micro editions, and you can use that code writing in digital electronic devices. We'll briefly touch when we're talking about the IoT part. Desktop applications, I think in 90s and early 2000s, and relatively on a lesser extent now, we do develop a lot of desktop applications, which for banking applications, I remember one of my experiences was for banking application where we developed these desktop applications, like AWT we were using Swift, we were using JavaFX of creating and dropping buttons and writing code behind a button, listener objects and all everything. Teller applications were there. If you go to if you go to a bank, you see application with very static visual basic screens are there, and the database connection we used to develop in our school times, if you remember. So a lot of such applications can be created using desktop applications. Talking about business application, definitely in an enterprise these days, we talk about business applications or enterprise applications. So Java itself has an edition called Java Enterprise Edition, where we have something called servlet, we have called JSPs, we have servers are there, we have listeners are there, we have interceptors. A lot of, you can say, technology domain is there around this in business application, which really helps in developing business applications in Java world altogether. Web applications, see, every language now has, you can say, a web interface these days. If whether it is a native mobile app UI or a web app UI, if you go to an Amazon, you open an Amazon app. Also, you can do a deb and Amazon.in. Again, it would be a UI, and that is a web-based application. So Java has a lot of frameworks, like in Spring MVC is there. We have Spring Boot based frameworks, like struts used to be there. JSF is there. JSPs are there. So which you can develop as a web-based application. Cloud-based application, definitely, I think this is a great traction in the Java world, because I'll be briefly touching about this. The cloud-based application and distributed applications is related to cloud-based application, because in cloud is nothing but a set of you can say interconnected computers, which is not hosted in my premise, and I'm just leveraging it, and I'm paying for a pay as you go model. This is all about the cloud application thing. So how Java and cloud computing, you can make a career in cloud computing if you know Java, right? So for example, I am a developer. I know the basics of Java. I have my, you can say, I'm getting a role of developing few Java classes, right? Considering most of the audience is pretty niche, right? Or I'm writing few automation scripts, and I want to hone, or you can say, go to a next level in my career, and I want to leverage cloud computing. So what are the options for me, right? So if you talk about, this is basically the PaaS. We have three, you can say, service models in cloud. We have IaaS, which is this one, which is infrastructure as a service. We have something called platform as a service, and we have called SaaS model. So these are primarily three models, and the way Java offers the service. And we can develop things in this. Most of the time we try working in PaaS, which is a platform as a service, where we try leveraging the service of cloud. For example, we have something called database by AWS is already provided, and we have something called Lambda functions are there. So a lot of services are available, and we would like to consume those services into our application. So here Java comes to a rescue, in the sense that we have something called different cloud providers have different set of libraries provided, with which you can integrate your code using those APIs with the cloud provider, right? So this is how we you can say integrate. If I show you something that, okay, I do okay. So let me quickly go to AWS providers something called SDK, right? Which is a you can say standard development kit. And if you see, AWS SDK is a set of APIs provided by AWS, and all these languages, if you see, they provide you solutions, and if you can write your code using these APIs. If I go to Java word, and this is example code. See, these are all the areas where you can use Java in order to integrate with cloud, right? If I talk about let if in any code, like what is CloudWatch? CloudWatch is like a watching the logs and monitoring part. If I just open a uh, if you have already set an alarm for, okay, in cloud, that okay, if a particular event is happening, do send me an alarm or describe an alarm. So if I open, for example, a Java class for it, right? So if you see, we are importing few CloudWatch APIs, which is Amazon CloudWatch, and we are just writing our code out here, which is basically what I want to say out here is we have standard Java APIs available with which we can integrate with cloud providers and can write our solutions for cloud based, right? So hence it is not that Java is limited to only writing few desktop applications or web based you can say solution. You just write, you can leverage cloud as well using APIs available in Java word as well, right? So this is what I just wanted to show you in this diagram. And thinking of career opportunity in IoT, I think this is another buzzword which is happening these days. What is IoT? Internet of Things. A lot of things have come. Must be seeing a lot of you can say advertisement on screen as well. You have a mobile device. You can either on and switch off like LEDs of your house, or you can start your car. The concept of connected cars are coming. Even your insurance at times in a few countries, based on how you drive, that insurance data is taken up by your driving from your driving devices. It's being taken by your insurance organization, and based on the your driving skills, if you're driving rash something, your premium is getting calculated, right? So in IoT, what happens, there are small sensors available in devices which are connected through internet, uh, and this is how everything is happening. Like small embedded coding happens. So what happens there also, you can use Java. And I so if I tell you something that what is there is called a Raspberry Pi, is you can say a circuit board is there, right? It is basically if I talk about this thing which you're finding a circuit board, this is not a circuit board, this is a computer in itself. And this cost about 1,000 rupees, not more than that, right? So the idea of developing it is this is a, you can say, a very low grade computer. It has its own processor is there, it has its own input output HDMI port, everything is there in just 1,000 rupees. You will be able to find, and these are few input output pins provided. And you might be thinking here, how will I use Java? Means how Java comes to the rescue. So basically what happens is you can code against these pins. Like if I show you a very simplistic code, this is a Java class. I'll not go into the details of it. If you think that there are pins, the number of pin is 0, 1. And here I can make a particular pin to sleep, and then a toggle so that it ons, it gets off and all. So what I want to try explaining you is that yes, you can write code which gets integrated to the IoT word as well in Java. So do not limit yourself to this. If I show you, I think, for example, there's a library, the Pi4j project. This is a Java IO library for Raspberry Pi. You can Google it, and definitely you'll see how simple it is to write code even the IoT world using Java. So if you have the interest, if you're coming from electronics background, you know how to write chip-based programming, how it is being done and all. You see, I can definitely use few GPIO controller, that is a general purpose input output. I know it would be going on top of your head. The gist is, yes, using Java, you can write IoT based code and you can think of a career in IoT as well. As I told you, we can make a career in cloud as well, right? So this is where we can leverage it. And if I move uh, more on it, AI, ML, big data, these are, you can say, big buzzwords these days, which are happening across the domain. And there are a lot of, you can say, frameworks which are Apache Hadoop, Spark, Kafka. Either they are written in Java or they are written to be consumed in JVM base. So Java would definitely come into picture if you want to move into an area of data science and such areas. All these APIs come to your rescue and frameworks which are Java driven. So definitely you can make a career in these space if you already know Java and want to explore Java as well. I'll talk about roles, career opportunities in Java. Uh, and this is based on my experience. I started as a Java developer, a technical lead. DevOps engineer is definitely a very important field in Java world, because a lot of us might have, we might be good in Unix. Uh, we might could be in integration things, and DevOps engineer is someone who try writing scripts, try automating our code right from the word it is checked in into a repository till it is put into some production. So DevOps engineer role is very handy, and if you have a very good knowledge of Java, I think a lot of scripts can be written in Java word. You can write scripts in Kotlin as well, because pretty much similar in syntax, and you can make a career in DevOps. I think this is a great in demand, you can say, career opportunity where most of you can look into it. Automation engineers, definitely, as I told earlier, you can write a code, but you can't deliver the code if it is not tested well. So having a sound knowledge of a lot of integration frameworks are there. Cucumber is there, like a BDD driven framework, which we call, and we have Selenium based solutioning in which happens at the Java side, and Cypress is there, and a lot of such frameworks. If you have the knowledge, decent knowledge of Java, then definitely you can move to such frameworks where a similar, you can say, object oriented paradigm is being provided, and you can definitely make a career in automation engineers. It could be writing scripts in JMeters as well, and hence an automation engineering is definitely much you can say sought out uh, uh, career opportunity. A lot of organizations, they just hire people who are absolutely fantastic in automation space. Scrum master role, so most of the time I have seen various scrum master roles. A scrum master, it's not that the scrum master is business
Can you
centric
repeat
person.
DevOps?
Pardon?
Can you repeat again?
Yeah,
DevOps
yeah.
means?
Yeah, in DevOps, see what DevOps is all about. See, DevOps is all about uh, what happens whenever a developer writes a code, checks it into a system, and that finally goes into production. So a lot of things are happening behind the scenes, right? So in DevOps, you can say a lot of profiles of writing pipeline code. When a code is being checked in, then what all should run on that code, what all scanning should be happening on that code. We can write a few hooks to check for the vulnerability of that code from security perspective. A lot of, you can say, code coverage tools would be run on that code. A lot of testing would be done on that code by running the automation testing and using such things. So a DevOps engineer is basically, you can say, he is the event manager sort of a thing for any party which is happening, that he manages everything and brings to the table that, okay, now everything is running smooth. So that is because in my organization, or for that purpose in any organizations, this is an area where a Java developer can mold his skill set and become a DevOps engineer. It is a niche skill, uh, and it is a highly paying job which I have seen right now in market, and same with the automation engineers as well. So if Java programmer, at times you start feeling there are 100 Java programmers in market, then definitely these are the areas, DevOps, automation engineers, Scrum Master, where you can just add something to your skill set by knowing the concept of Java, and can, you can say, exponentially grow in your career in a particular space, right? Talking about architecture role, we have heard a lot about technical architect, solution architect, enterprise architect. So when you grow up in your career considerably, then these are basically three very different terms altogether, which we use quite often interchangeably. But yes, they are not same. That's what I have tried telling in this small slide is, uh, like enterprise architect is more focused towards the strategy of an organization. The person in charge of an enterprise architect is aligning a organization's technology perspective, understanding the entire landscaping of an organization's technology. That person might not be uh, very, you can say, uh, language specific knowledge having, but that person must be, you can say, driving the or creating the technical roadmap of an entire organization. That strategy based role is there. That is primarily an enterprise architect role. If you want to grow in this role, then we, and that happens eventually, that okay, if you have coding and you are thinking that okay, I would want to become an enterprise architect, then the shift from an enterprise architect is knowing the business of your organization, also very important. Knowing that okay, how different industries are running, what are their IT roadmaps, then you can say the horizon changes very differently for an enterprise architect, right? Solution architect is someone who is playing a role between an enterprise architect and a technical architect. Solution architect is someone, if you want to grow in this role, for example, if there is a banking, you can say, organization, and a solution of fraud detection needs to come into picture, right? Then basically it is the role of a solution architect to study the prevalent models available in market. Okay, understand, you can say, the solution architect needs to focus on a particular solution, right? And in order, then the person would be studying the various solutions available in the market, and how, based on the enterprise architecture of the current organization, what solution he is giving. The solution architect, he'll not be a very, you can say, technology language centric person. The person is, he could be slightly agnostic to whatever language a solution would get implemented, right? A solution architect would come out with a solution that okay, we will be implementing something in the realms of AI ML, where any, you can say, data having X, Y, and Z header information, or which is going in this, should be trapped, should be looked into it. So this is at a high level. A solution architect creates a high level design of a particular solution. He thinks out of the mind. Uh, you can say out of the box thinking should be happening. What solution should get implemented? And a technical architect would try, and technical architects are those who understand a particular area in technology. It could be a Java base, it could be Python, it could be DevOps architect, it could be a database architect, where expertise are required when a solution has been designed at a higher level. In order to map it to a further, you can say, granular level, architecture is required to be provided. Then the technical architects come into picture, where they try creating a solution. For example, if a Java architect is there, then he say okay, let me go for a Spring Boot based solution out here, or a Struts based solution out here, or my solution would be a batch job based one. And then a team around that technical architect would be found, where we have developers and all the DevOps and such people would be coming. So a technical architect is someone who is more hands on, as compared to a solution architect and as compared to an enterprise architect, right? So these are the various roles that can be taken up eventually by somebody who is in Java profile. So yes, here I have tried showing you based on your experience what all knowledge you should be having if you are into your job profile. So a developer having an experience of 0 to 2 years, must to have things are core Java J2E, at least one web framework. It could be like a Spring based. These days, it is very rampantly used. And basic database knowledge. This is a must to have thing to know, because most of the time I have seen in production what happens, you do get issues. For example, my application is becoming slow. So if you do not know the intricacies of database, then it really becomes tough in case a lot of issue is coming from the database side of things. So if you want to make a career in Java, knowing a lot of you can say technologies around it really helps. Senior devs, definitely whatever junior you can say called basic devs. Plus, good to have is web technologies, exposure to advanced CI/CD, as I told, and exposure to cloud. Technical lead, you should be knowing a lot of good design principles, optimization techniques, end-to-end solution design, because this is a role where you start doing code reviews of other people. So, and you'll only be able to do code reviews when you have very sound knowledge of these design principles and optimization techniques. And solution architect is someone, as we briefly discussed earlier, about you should be knowing which technology to implement. It could be, for example, you might be asked, okay, which database would you like to implement? And you would like to go with the SQL Server. Somebody says, no, let us go with the NoSQL database. So this is where a solution architect's role come into picture, that what technology will be used, why it would be used. A few solution you would like to go for a microservice architecture, then you should have a very sound reason why you would like to switch to a microservice based architecture, and why not a monolith based architecture. So solution architect is someone, and a technical architect is someone who has evolved from the coding, you can say, background. So you should be knowing a lot of cloud-based knowledge should be there these days. Exposure to different patterns of architecture, including microservice, cloud, etc., is a must to have. So, and experience-wise, this is what I have tried to show, that okay, on these many years of experience, these are the roles which you can eye for, right? Uh, Basically, I just put up this slide just in case you have questions. Else probably Java and Python, most of the time people do ask questions. So my thing was to have few slides on it, but I think it is not required as of now, since we are almost towards the end. So I'll be more than happy taking questions.
Or does having particular projects into the Java domain, like self-based projects,
Yeah, yeah.
does do they add value in the resume?
Big time, big time. If you ask me, if I want to prepare my resume for career, the first thing that I will be doing is creating my GitHub repository, right? I'll be preparing few small projects and all independent projects. I'll not be copy pasting from anywhere. I know initially I'll be very, you can say, I'll not be very fluent in writing my code. I'll not be very optimized with my code. But eventually, if you are putting it on resume, your work that you have done, right? You go to a shop, you see 10 items, right? That person has X, Y, Z, whatever. You find the best and then you get satisfied and you buy that. Similarly, when you're going for a job interview, it is the best what you want to show it to the organization. You try showing it to them what exactly you have done. Hence, I absolutely, those people, those who put up their GitHub repository URL, or their like coding platforms are there, their rankings are being provided. If you're not able to do certification, no problem, there are a number of websites where you can enroll. You can keep on solving questions. You do get a ranking which should create a lot of weight. You create a YouTube channels, you put forward whatever you have done. They really create a lot of difference these days if you really want to stand out in your resume to get shortlisted and finally getting into a job. right? And I think it's a good point, Ankita, which you have raised. These points, they really make a lot of difference. Else, believe me, for one job opening, if I'm getting 50 resumes, it's really very difficult. Who shall I shortlist? And if these are small things, definitely your resume is gonna get a lot of weightage.
Like you
Great
earlier
question.
mentioned, the ranking.
Uh-huh.
Is lead code ranking
Yeah.
valid enough for the resume?
I won't say it is valid. Everyone has a very different perspective. I, as a developer, if somebody has put up a lead code ranking, it would be there in my head that okay, somebody putting up a ranking means he takes his coding seriously, right? And when I'm having an interaction, it would be slightly more engaging for me, right? That okay, show me what exactly you have coded. I'll be more engaged with that person. And if I'm not having a bad day, right, so that person might be having a great day, right? So these are the things which really stands your resume out. So lead code ranking is there, your GitHub repository is there, your YouTube 1 minute snippet. It is very important whenever you are going for a job interview, because whatever you are talking in those 1 minute, I'll not be looking at everyone's resume. At times, I know people have given me their resume in the form of a YouTube. I really found it a very niche way of presenting it, and I was thoroughly impressed because I was able to judge person based on the person's confidence, communication skills as well. In 1 minute, the person was able to showcase what he knows or she knows, and that was really a deal breaker or maker for me. So these are good nuances that one must be putting in their resume.
Okay, thank you so much for clearing out my
Thank you.
doubts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we have another question from Vishal Sharma. He wants to know if he can switch from Python to Java.
Okay, I think it's a wonderful question. So Python and Java. Fortunately or unfortunately, this topic comes every time whenever we are talking. So, okay, let me tell you about from my experience. In 2004, I did not have Python for me to explore. I just explored Java, right? If you talk about these two languages, and if you don't know Java at all, if you are fresher, I would suggest Python would reap you benefits faster, right? Why? Because it obfuscates a lot of things behind the script, behind the curtains for you. And in Java, Java is more verbose as compared to Python. So in Python, you start loving it from the word go, because you write very less code and you see a beautiful result on your screen, right? So people start getting, you can say, attracted to, for example, an HTML. In my college days, what was that? Writing a HTML head, body, writing, changing some colors, and wow, we used to see, oh wow, I was able to change a color. So this is the language I'm gonna love, because it was such a simple language and changing few elements here and there, and I thought I'm the you can say HTML JavaScript expert, right? So in Python, no doubt, Python is a language. If you do not know Java, if you're learning from a clean slate, Python has concepts, right? And it would give you a better turnaround time in order to learn a language and put something into practice, right? However, in Java, Java is more like a, although Java is also catching up with all these things. It's every 6 months Java is giving the releases. Concept of functional programming, concept of reactive programming, a lot of things are getting added to Java every 6 months, right? So it is a very stable version of Java. It is there in the market for almost 30 years, right? Any language which is there in market for 30 years is not just for the sake of it. It is there because it has a user base. So if from Python you want to switch to Java, I think it would be a hard task for anyone from Python moving to Java, right? Anyone who knows Java, because they have already worked on the boilerplate code, they have worked behind the scene of writing that code as well. it would be easier for them to understand what Python is providing, and able to switch from Java to Python is much easier any day, right? And vice versa. Definitely programming principles, they do not change. It is that when you are coming from Python to Java, you might think, okay, why the code is not that, you can say how many lines of code it is taking, right? Then you might feel, okay, no, Python is better because that code was written only in one line. Now in Java you're writing in 3 lines. No, I'll not go to Java, right? So in the nutshell, moving from any language is definitely, I would say, is not an impediment that you can't move. You can move because all of us know the programming principles. If you know a programming principle, you can move from X to Y any day, anytime, right? However, from Python to Java, you'll take more time as compared to Java to Python. Great question.
So also Ritika wants to know if you can learn both of the language at the same time,
Which one?
Java and Python.
Why are you so confused in your career? Right? It is great to learn as many languages. Definitely, my short and crisp answer is great. If you want to learn, please learn, because that would really help you based, if you want to become a solution architect, right? It is very important for a solution architect to know what solution should be provided, right? If I only know Java and I become a solution architect, my solutions would be biased towards Java. So definitely you can learn both the languages at the same time. However, if you are a slightly more mature, where you understand the designing principles first, it would be very easy for you to switch between whether it is Golang, Python, Kotlin, Java, JavaScript, Node.js, right? Not, don't restrict yourself to only two languages. You can play around with a number of languages, have the concepts of programming principles, designing principles pretty clear. Then language is just, you can say, a method to channelize your design structure or solution which you are providing. You can definitely learn Python, Java, whatever language you can think of, provided you are doing justice to programming design principles. That would that's what I'm gonna say.
And the other question that we have is from Prayagini. What is the role of Java developer?
Uh, I think it's a okay, great question there. Role of a Java developer, it's a very abstract questions. And see, if you go into an organization, you have been taken as a Java developer. So the role is primarily where exactly in the landscape you are, right? Let me try giving an example of my, you can say, one of the, you can say, projects. You have a product, for example, right? And in that product, uh, you have few people from sales. Sales team would go and sell that product to a client, right? From sales, you have a team called product team, right? Product team is where the all the envisioning of that product happens. The product, the sales team, they talk to the business owners. Business owner think about, okay, what shall we be adding to this product? They are the visionaries of the product based on market trends, what all on competitors. Business owners, they talk to solution architects, right? Business owners, they talk to solution architect. Solution architect understands what a business owner is saying, try finding a technical solution for that, right? From based on the technical solution, technical architects come into picture. They try finding a technical solution of the business problem statement which the business owner gave. Then a high level design is being created by the technical architects. Those technical designs are being passed on to the developers, right? And you could be one of those developers. So in this chain or the landscape, right from salesperson, the pre-salesperson, the business owner, the solution architect, the technical architect, then the developer comes in. Does it make clear about where exactly a Java dev comes into picture of, you can say, a think of an hypothetical product scenario?
Thank you, Navengit. So we
Thank you.
have another question here from
Yeah, yeah.
Justin. So he wants to know if the organization will hire him on the basis of the knowledge and the coding experience that he has, and not
Mhm.
consider the year of passing, his degree, and the marks.
Wow. Wow. I have seen this thing happening day in, day out. A lot of organizations have their own mandate out here, right? Uh, an organization, they at times say, okay, there should not be any gap in their education. And right. So these are something which is beyond your control. This is something which is mandated by different type of organizations, right? However, the way I see, it is all about how you put up your experience. Suppose I need a developer who should be knowing this, and should have done this. And if on resume I see a relevant years of experience in that area, whether there were gaps in somebody's resume, and that could be due to n number of reasons. Working in this industry for quite a long, I understand there are very genuine reasons why somebody takes a break or was not into a job profile, right? If my requirement meets what's written on the resume, I would definitely short that person for an interview. So, and this is what most of the companies even they do. After certain years of experience, I think your degree and things, they do not matter. In the, you can say, that could be one of the criteria when you're a fresher, right? 60%, 70%, and even in these days of startups, where you see the talent in a person, where you can, as we previously discussed on Ankita's question about creating that CV, that interactive CV and all. So if you are presenting yourself quite differently in your resume, right, that would echo more as compared to your marks, your gap years and all, right? However, if it is just a plain paper, and if I have two CVs in front of me, one without a gap, one with a gap, and if I need to choose one shortlisting, then definitely the one without a gap would take preference, right? So try to be niche as possible in order to overcome this impediment if you're thinking. And most of the organizations, they do not they have stopped, or you can say they do not give a lot of weightage to it unless and until it is a fresher resume, right?
I hope, Justin, that answers your question. Uh, the another question and the last one would be from Gautam. What is the role of Java developer in ML and AI field? Is there
Okay, in
any other knowledge required for working in this field?
uh, absolutely, I think it's another great question. See, AI and ML, there are a lot of libraries, as I told you earlier. You can say mathematical computation it requires in AI and ML, because we tend to play with huge amount of data over there. So a lot of computation techniques are required with the data, and a lot of libraries are being provided in Java Word, which you should be knowing. And in order to understand those libraries, hands-on knowledge of mathematical models are required out there. Concept of probabilities, concept of you can say data analysis, you can say mathematical computations are also required. But that is definitely, if you are learning a language also as as a fresher, you tend to know new things. And if you are coming from not from a very hardcore mathematics background, you can still definitely dabble into these waters and can understand them. So there are few, you can say, uh, if you're having that mathematics model, you'll able to understand a few of the data models, what is being talked about quicker. Else, there is no impediment. You, if you spend some time learning those, you can say domains, it won't be any issue or challenge. You just need to spend some time coding on those models.
I hope, Gautam, you got your answer now. Thank you, Navengit,
Thank you,
for
team.
your presence today. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Bye.